Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and today we're going to do a short little video on how to negotiate fast tempos when you're playing different Latin styles. So this summer I played a lot of gigs and different situations, and one of the situations I was in was with an orchestra, and we were reading, some music in the rehearsal, and then all of a sudden, I turn the page and I see quarter note equals 300 Latin, which is typical the way they write things. That could be anything from Brazilian music to Afro-Cuban music, but it's just a generic term, Latin. And kind of caught me off guard. You normally don't see those kinds of blazing tempos with orchestras, but it was not a problem because I already could play that fast. But I was thinking, what if someone couldn't play that fast? They'd be in big trouble. So I decided to do this little video to show you some tricks to playing some of these styles very quickly. Now you saw there I started out with just a jumble of different grooves and styles, but all at quarter note equals 300 doing this. And the metronome was on halftime there on 150. So there's a couple different strategies for doing this, and a lot of this is in my drum set book. You see the cover here on the screen. And we'll go through some of those grooves, but let's go through the strategies first. First of all, you can't be expected necessarily to do this unless you have good technique already. So you should have good hand technique, and especially foot technique, to play this stuff. So if you don't, start slower, and eventually, in a few years, you'll have the chops to do it. And like always, I suggest you study with a good teacher who has good technique, who can play the things that you want to play. So the first thing that we can do, the first strategy we can do, is to do unisons together. But first we have to figure out what we're going to play with our feet. And most of you know from watching this channel, there's many, many different foot ostinatos we can use in different styles. So if we're going to play a fast mambo, we could play this with our feet. So here we're playing 2 and 4 with the hi-hat, and the bass drum is playing this Mambo note. So it's like this. And slowly, that's this. Either of those bass drum rhythms works. So when you play it faster, it sounds like this. And you see sometimes I'm playing the downbeat there with my foot like. That's also perfectly acceptable. We're talking about sort of a generic situation here. All right, now the hands are playing this cascara. Or I should say the right hand. So to play that quickly, you've got to be very relaxed and open up your hand like this. Don't try to play with your wrist. Use your fingers. So quickly, it looks like this. And normally that sound on the hi-hat, a cowbell, bell of a cymbal, whatever, will dominate that groove. So that's carrying it. You're playing off of that right hand. So it's important that that be technically sound. The next step that you can do, besides those individual rhythms and the accompanying left hand, is to do unisons. So you could pick a rhythm like this. So in my book on page 49, at the bottom of the page, there's a thing called a Unison Samba. So the feet are doing this. Now slow, that sounds like this. and fast. And you can improvise a little there with your right hand, as you see. Okay, so that's your second strategy, hands together. Now getting that on your foot, that fast generic samba pattern, this. That's going to take some practice, and you see there I do the pivot, just like that, to get that. And I have several videos on that topic, and I'll reference them. So the second strategy, unisons. The third way would be using both your hands together to play particular patterns. So if I did this, so it's a combination of ghost notes and heavier notes. And if I put that under a foot pattern, it sounds like this. So you see there I'm playing different combinations, paradiddle groupings, doubles, all of that kind of thing. So that's the other way. You're playing both hands in these particular patterns, and that takes up the slack from that right hand or that dominant hand, whichever you are, righty or lefty, getting tired. Finally, if you really want to go for it, you could play particular rhythms like Baion with that pattern that goes ding, did-a-ding, did-a-ding, did-a-ding. So in my book, you could turn to that, those pages, which would be page 51, and look at some of those rhythms. Now, in this particular groove, the foot or the feet are going like this. Now, that pattern's been a favorite of drummers for years because it's not as quick or busy as that regular samba pattern. There's more space there. So if you ever play like a tune, Nutville, there's a common tune they play in high schools. A lot of my high school kids will come to me, I can't play this fast, and they've listened to Buddy Rich's version or whatever. But that's the ticket for that. It's not trying to play too many bass drum notes, just opening it up a little. But then that right hand can do, which happens to be the fast jazz pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you see there I started playing in between the limbs, and then the last part of that little tiny demo was playing it just straight. And for that Baion, that's what you're going to do. So you can do that and then a combination of all the other things we spoke about to mix it up during different solos. You may have to play, if you're playing a jazz gig for 10 minutes or so under the soloist. So you can mix that up to give yourself a little break. All right? Because, playing these tempos, it can be exhausting. So those are some of the strategies I use for playing fast. And there's lots of rhythms in my book. There's, 15 or so pages of these kinds of grooves for different situations. The last way I should mention is leading with your left hand. So that's always an option. Now when I do that, I like to do rhythms like this. So that particular rhythm is in my book as well. And let's see, those are upbeat samba, left-hand lead, page 50. You'll see that. All right? So I also have some different videos showing these rhythms if you look on the playlist with the name of this book, Advanced Coordination for Drum Set and Hand Percussion. So I hope this helps with some of these issues. It is a problem for a lot of people because it's so physical, but there are ways to deal with it like we talked about. So I'll play a little for you and we'll call it a day.